bringing Gator Nation a different Gator great every episode.
This is Jabari Gaffney. You're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey, I'm Earl Everett. You're not a Gator, you're Gator bait.
This is Bo Carroll.
Hey, I'm Rita Anthony.
This is Kewan Ratliff, and you are listening to All for the Gators podcast.
This is Cedric Faison, a.k.a. C4.
This is Brandon James.
This is Jack Jackson. Go Gators.
Hi, this is your boy Jeremy Mincy, a.k.a. Mr. Mintz, and we were the All for the Gators podcast.
This is Ben Trooper. You listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
Hey guys, this is Jarvis Moss. Go Gators.
You rocking with Lito Shepherd, and we're All for the Gators podcast, man. Top notch.
This is Chris Doring, and you're listening to the All for the Gators podcast.
And now, your Gator alumni hosts, John, Andy, and Sid.
Guys, Andy, Sid, I got to be honest with you.
Is this opposed to when you're frequently
don't
dishonest to us?
Don't lie to us.
That always makes me concerned when someone has to start by telling me they're not going to lie to me. That implies they may have lied to me before.
I'm just going to be more honest now. How about that?
I'll accept that. That sounds better.
Okay,
share your honesty. Let's hear it.
The feedback that I've received from our part one of Errict Rhett has been phenomenal.
That's not surprising. That was a really good interview with one of the greatest Gators of all time. A great get, Mr. Producer. Excellent guest.
Of course, all made possible by our friends at Pontoon Brewing. The episode with Errict Rhett, we did part one, and he spoke about his upbringing. He spoke about his wrestling career, and he spoke about his first couple years at UF. Now, we are going to head into part two, where he goes further into his UF career, SEC championships, All-American, may even be in the UF Hall of Fame.
This is an excellent sequel. We're not talking like Jaws 2 stuff here. This is like Godfather 2, Terminator 2. This is a really, really good follow-up to episode 1. So friends of the show, if you enjoyed part 1, you're going to love part 2.
Yeah, we also got a bunch of NFL stories. You'll hear about Hardy Nickerson, the great Priest Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
Those of you in fantasy football remember him well.
Yes.
And maybe a little bit about the Hall of Fame.
All right. And a Mount Rushmore in there. Pretty quick one at that.
Yeah, the fastest Mount Rushmore in history.
That's right.
You got to be paying attention.
All right, let's get right to it. Part 2, Errict Rhett, brought to you by Pontoon Brewing. It's the All for the Gators podcast. You have a strong 92 redshirt year, but you cap off your senior season in royal fashion. Almost 1,300 rushing yards, almost 1,600 yards from scrimmage. You eclipse Emmett's all-time rushing record, ending up with 4,163 yards. First team All-SEC. First team All-American. And I remember watching the game where Walter Payton broke Jim Brown's record. I don't know if you guys saw that on TV. They showed that cheesy 80s graphic of the mountain. And they had, Walter climbing that mountain. How many yards are to Jim Brown's record. So take us back to your game, 1993, Week 9, South Carolina. You have 120 yards and 2 scores that day. And I know you were more concerned because you guys were down 17-0 about winning the game. But after that carry, and that gave you the record, looking back at it all these years later, is it any more special to you?
It means so much to me. But that season right there, that was a season that we should have went a lot farther in that year right there. That was you wanted. I love the great individual accolades, but like I'm a team me guy. I'm a big team, small me kind of guy. I love being on the team, man. And this was just such a great team. But like to reach a milestone, you want to say you're not really looking at it, but like I had wanted to accomplish so much my junior year, but I suffered an ankle injury the second game of the year against Tennessee, and it sidelined me for many games. But I was able to go out there and catch a few balls. I caught like 55 balls, but I was not myself. And after the we went against North Carolina State in the Gator Bowl, and I had a phenomenal year, man. A phenomenal game. So I said, that led me into the off season, and we lost my junior year. We lost to a team called Mississippi State on Thursday night. We lost to Mississippi State on Thursday night game, and I remember Coach Spurrier coming into the locker room, and he says, "You know what, guys? It's not the fact we're not talented, but because we're a better team than them. Well, we're just not strong. We're just not a strong team. They pushed us all around out there." He went and hired the most brutal strength and conditioning coach for our senior year, a guy by the name of Rich Tootin.
Tootin, yep.
Man, It's this guy. I mean, I remember him bringing us in, and he says, guys, you're going to be that team that gets stronger during the season. Hold it, coach. You're going to make us strong. You're supposed to lay off the weights. No, I'm going to make you stronger during the season. You're going to get stronger. Now, the first day that he comes there, now, we had already heard the stories when he was there. It was brutal stories about guys, how he make them throw up in buckets and they keep going. He doesn't care if you stay there all night. We did something called, he tested us to see where we was at. We did the leverage leg press machine. He wanted to see the strength of each player where you was at. So, of course, you want to impress this new coach, show him that, you're strong. And I remember doing like 600 pounds, something like that, like 10, 12 times. And then it gets to where you strain it because he want to see where you at. But he took our max, and I guess our max out like maybe 700 pounds. When it came to the next day to do your workout with him, usually coaches will modify, okay, based on him, his max being 700, let's say he does this for 10, 8, 6, 4. You want to know what he had us down for doing 15 times reps?
Started at your max?
700.
Exactly our max. It was the most brutal thing. And guys, let me tell you something. His patience is unreal. You are going to finish. He will wait there all night with you and won't even worry. Just take your time, but you will finish. And now, this is the most impressive thing. He has certain workouts, a 6 o'clock workout, an 8 o'clock, a 12. I've never seen a coach that does a drill with you. He'll never give you a drill that he would not do himself with you. Now, we went to pulling sleds, and let me tell you, man, sled with a grown man in the back with a chain, a box and a chain, and I'm pulling him. And when I get down into the end zone, I turn around, sit in the box, and he pulls me. And now what made it so crazy, I was just going with one group. He went with all 4 groups.
Oh, my God.
So, man, this guy, man, we were so ready. And mind you, this senior class, we wasn't the best recruiting class. Some say we might have been the worst recruiting class at UF. We didn't have a lot of talent. But, man, this man came along, man, and made us believe in ourselves. And, man, we had a great year. If it wasn't for maybe, 2 games, we would have been in there. We lost to a very tough Auburn team that we should have really won that game. And then the Florida State game. Guys, I only lost 1 game at home. 1 game at home in 4 years. Wow. Imagine that. Sometime now, I must say, I go to a lot of Gator games.
Ooh, not the same.
but I don't understand how you don't know if you're going to win at home. That's something that Coach Spurrier established early on. We don't lose at home. We are playing in the swamp. And in the swamp, you either Gator or you Gator bait.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? My man Lawrence Wright, you either a Gator or you Gator bait. And that's the way it is. In the swamp, we do not lose at home. You set that in stone right away. And, man, we never lost at home. Coming up on the last play of the game, a little throw out the work done. He took it 60 yards. That's the only time we lost 1 game at home.
I got to ask you, you shared a backfield with him a few years later in Tampa. Did he give you a hard time about that? Or?
Yeah, right when he saw me, he gave me a hard time about that. All those guys are my buddies because a lot of us from South Florida on that team. And, it was a heartbreaker. To tell you the truth, it was a heartbreaker. But those guys are like playing against all your homeboys. They know you. They know your vibe. And they that's the one school. They were never, ever intimidated because we have about equal amount of talent. Mm-hmm. And these guys, they were never intimidated. They hated Coach Spurrier. And he didn't do it for them either. But his biggest rival was Georgia. To the older guys, Georgia's the big game. Not so much Florida State. But to us, it was all about Florida State.
These days, you got the NIL, the transfer portal. Offensive schemes they're so pass heavy now. Your record might be one of the toughest to break. Do you think it's ever going to get broken?
Yeah, you're like Cy Young here.
It will be very difficult because guys with those kind of numbers, they would literally probably go pro early. And the way the system is set up, guys, I didn't never come out the game. I didn't never hit on my head. What that does is tell your backup, hey, come give me a breather. A breather? I don't rush I probably got 16,000 yards rushing this week before the game, before I stepped on the field. A breather? No, man. I play every single snap. You know, if they send my backup in for a certain kind of play, that's cool. But like, I can go the whole game. These days, guys just, I'm not saying the game's soft, but the game is soft. It's just I'm not saying it's soft, but the players are a lot different.
Yep.
You say something to them and they're in the transfer portal.
Yep.
You look at them hard, they go and transfer. Nobody wants to compete. And listen to me, guys. Nobody don't want to compete, and very few coaches want to develop. And that's the one thing I got. I know it bothers me every time I see something about, hey, we just got the top-notch defensive back. We just got the top-notch. I'm like, that's really just telling me that maybe this coach don't got to coach that much. Mm-hmm. Develop him, make him better. That's what I believe. I believe in making better. Somewhere along the road, a lot of coaches, they stop developing, stop making players great, making them better. They come to you already good. Make them better. Make them better. Help them reach their full potential in college.
Who developed you,
man,
at UF?
I tell you, we had, quite a few. You guys helped develop me. My running backs coach was Coach Carl Franks. Stayed after practice with me, helped me get better. Coach Dwayne Dixon, he did things with me after practice. If I dropped the ball, I would stay out there and catch 500 balls. Me drop a ball or me fumble the ball, oh my God, I have to walk with a ball in my hand to class everywhere. If anybody knocked it out of my hand, I would be in trouble because I can, fumbling is a no-no. I think I might have fumbled maybe 4 or 5 times in my whole career, and I think 3 of those was in practice, so they shouldn't count. That's how much 3 or 4 of those was in practice. I don't even fumble in practice. That's a no-no. No error, no mental errors or nothing. But once again, it's just the game has completely, it's just complete, and the coaches really adjusted, to the players. They put so much into a player, and they're not for sure they're going to be there the following year. It's just like crazy. Players can go from one team to another. We just lost a top-notch running back right to Georgia. Like, how does he go right down the street? That kind of stuff that would not really happen. Now, I wish him all the luck in the world, except against us. But it's that kind of stuff there that kind of bothers me a little bit because you don't give us an exceptional reason why you're leaving. A starting quarterback can just leave his teammates, his freshman brothers and everybody, and just go to another team. And then from there, you don't like it, he go to another team. So we didn't have that opportunity right there. We made that decision. You're going to go there, you stay your butt there, and you compete. Don't be scared to compete. If you're not the starter, that don't mean nothing. When you get your opportunity to get on that field, you make the best of it. But do not be afraid to compete because throughout your life, you're going to have to compete and to get you a chance where you can transfer. You're going to have to face it. You're going to have to see it through.
Well said. Very well said.
I love hearing that. I'm clearly very proud to be a Gator, and you have a lot to be proud of. Your accomplishments, as John always definitely points out in the beginning, are quite impressive. We're talking all SECs, all American, SEC titles, Sugar Bowl MVPs, team captain. So when you're looking back on it, which one of those stands out to you most, or is the first one that you think of your time there?
You know what, guys, man? I tell you, man, all of them, just, being in the locker room with the guys, because I tell you, I wasn't really a big me kind of guy. I never read no articles. To this day, maybe I look at some now and then, but when I was playing, I just never read it because I never wanted to get that big head where I forget where I came from. I come from some very humbling beginnings. So but now, you reflect on a lot of things, and it's just not one episode. It's everything collectively, everything that we did together as a team, the way we laughed in the locker room or when we laughed in the dorm room. We had something called Yarn Hall when I was there. They don't have athletic dorms no more, man. And the bonds that I made at UF. Hey, man, I'm still close with the swim team at UF. I mean, I'm still close with the tennis players at UF. They called me up. So I was close to everybody. Unlike now, guys only know people in their own sport. I knew everybody. I knew all the girls, the athletic girls. All of us came to Yarn Hall to eat, and we would mingle. We would go play together in the lounge. We played ping pong, shoot pool, watch TV. Everybody did. All the athletes worked together, so we all knew each other. So that's some of the things that I miss right there. And I look back on one thing. It just, you can't look back at it. It's too many. It's every day laughing in that dorm. Because, man, it ain't, I mean, we got some serious jokesters on that team, man, that they would just have you, dying laughing. It's so many amazing things.
Who's one joker? Give us one.
Oh, man, we got... Oh, you had Bates?
Yep.
And that's the sad part. He can draw, so it's unfair. He would draw a picture of you, man, that looks just like you. And like, man, he liked to laugh. Oh, the whole class, man, it just, I mean, every Willie Jackson, he's always laughing. I can recall, I'm a running back, man, so sometimes I get hurt. Let me tell you something, man. When Willie Jackson comes by you and you squirming on that ground, you hurting, you just got the wind knocked out of you, he starts saying stuff to you like, hey, what you doing? Man, get up. Get up. Man, you gonna let them drag you off the field? Oh, you really gonna let them, bro, you really gonna stay on that ground? You gotta get up. Get up. And I can recall getting up and telling the people to go back, and I feel my ribs all busted up, and I'm like, I shouldn't have listened to you. But he's like, come on, man, let's go. There's no room to sit on that feet. So I remember him telling me a story. Errict, how is it that they're going to come and get you off the field, and 2 plays later you're going to run back on the field? How does that happen? How are you all of a sudden just healed? What did they do that fast, So he's like, man, if you get hit, that means your season should be over if you stay on that field. If they got to come and get your season should be over. And I remember taking that in job, and it's like, every time I get hit, I'm hurting. Man, I get my butt up so fast.
Well, when all the fun and games are over at UF, you get drafted by the Bucks in '94. Yeah. And I know you're not too happy that you slipped out of the first round to the second, but the Bucks take you. Are you at least happy you get to stay in the state of Florida?
Yeah, I was kind of happy about that. But, man, I remember going to the Orange and Blue game, and Schottenheimer came to the game. And I remember because his son was playing there. He was starting spring football. And I remember him coming up to me. He telling me, congratulations on a great career. We don't think you're going to be around by the 15th pick, but if you are, man, we'll be glad to have you. So I took that as knowing, like, man, if they get, at least I'll be there. So, the draft came, and I got this big party over at my house. Everybody's there, and the picks early, and the picks early, a lot of linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, receivers, quarterbacks, and the 15th, the pick came up for the Kansas City Chiefs or whatever, and they chose a guy by the name of Greg Hill. And I had never really heard of Greg Hill. And the thing that I saw, he was pretty fast. I think I saw him at the Combine or at the East-West Shrine game. But I remember him being very fast. And I didn't understand. And then it happened where they didn't take no more backs. They took 2 backs in the first round, Marshall Faulk and this guy Greg. And I just did not understand it. So I left. And here's the thing with the first round back then. Only the first round was on television. The second round, you had to have something called ESPN2. Mm-hmm. In order to get ESPN2, you must have cable TV. We did not have cable TV. Uh-huh. So I go down to the park. I'm so devastated. Guys, this was the worst day of my life. I remember my brother running down there and said, Errict, Tampa's on the phone. He called me. He handed me the phone. And I remember Sam Wyche saying, hey, guy, I know you're disappointed. I can hear it in your voice. You didn't go in the first round. But, man, you still could be a difference maker in this team. You could come in and make a major contribution. You can impact the team right away. And who knows, man, maybe you'll be Roy. And, I didn't even understand what he said. I didn't know what he meant. But I just knew I was mad as hell. But when the season started, coming from being the captain of your team to being what they call a rookie. Get this, rook. Do this, rook. And I was just like, it was bothering the hell out of me. And I remember I used to eat by myself. I wasn't playing at all. They had me on the bench. And that's when I realized the game was more about business. Yeah. And, it's a business. This game is a major business. But I remember when I got my opportunity to play, Coach Sam White, the season was about over. He tapped me. I had really no yards rushing. We're going into like the 8th game of the year. And he says, big man, it's your turn this week. And man, let me tell you, when he gave me my opportunity, I literally lit it up. And I promise you, because I still had the work ethics from high school to college. Every time I touched the ball, I score a touchdown. And nobody can ever complain about hard work. So when I got the opportunity, man, I rushed for 100 yards, 200 yards, 150, and I was just dominating. And at the end of the year, they gave me something called ROY, and I knew what ROY meant. ROY meant Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Yeah, imagine that right there. So it's it came with a lot of tough times in the beginning. I did not start, and I led the NFL in rushing from the 9th game on. So it was like, man, but I knew once I got opportunity, I was going to do my best to take advantage of it.
You mentioned Sam Wyche. I got to ask you, I know we're more of a Gator show, but I'm kind of an NFL dork, but you've had a path with such offensive coaches, starting with Coach Spurrier, Sam Wyche under the Bill Walsh tree with Montana, taking the Bengals' Nicky Shuffle to the Super Bowl. Yes. Later you go to Ted Marchibroda, who ran the K-gun with the Bills, and Thurman Thomas's huge success, and Brian Billick, although the offenses weren't as prolific, his defensive teams with his Super Bowl stuff, before he got to Baltimore, he ran that exciting Minnesota team that was lighting up the scoreboards with Cunningham and Moss and stuff. As a running back and being blessed to be exposed to all these offensive coaches, what are some of the differences? I mean, obviously, no one's like Coach Spurrier. He's a unicorn. But what can you tell us about some of these other guys and they're mad scientists with the offenses and how they did things? Anybody like him like that?
Spurrier was definitely the most gifted coach. Dungy was a family man, coach. You had so much respect for him being one of the few Afro-American coaches on a real tough-notch team. Just to have a mentor like that on the team, a guy, when this guy talks to you, everything stops. He folds his arm and he gives you his undivided attention. He just, one thing about Dungy, you know that you're not just developing as a player, you're developing as a man. And that's the difference between a lot of coaches. You don't have a personal attachment to a lot of head coach. You're close to your individual coach, but the head coach, very few limited. He stand out. Sam Wyche was just like, he was amazing on offense as well. He believed that he invented the no-huddle offense. I don't know if it's true or not, but he's definitely for sure that he invented the no-huddle offense. But it was very tough for him, because he took it personally because, when you're not winning and, I remember Sam Wyche got so mad at us because we just laid down in the game. And he comes in the locker room and say, you know what? I'm just sick of you son of a bitches not playing hard. And then I remember Alvin Harper raised his hand. He said, yes, Alvin, what can I do for you, coach? I just don't think that, that's the polite kind of word to identify us players with, son of a bitch. None of us, our fathers are bitches. He looks at Alvin Harper, he say, okay, motherfucker, is that
I knew we'd get a good Sam Wyche quote. That was awesome.
The whole locker room is dying. We're dying. So one thing about him, he'll cut you down, but everybody will laugh about it just a few minutes later. So, but the Christmas parties in Tampa was under it. Tampa was just a great place to play, and like I say, man, I've been through a lot of coaches and being able to adapt from, almost every single coach. All of them was phenomenal in their own way. They were special. But like, once again, some of the coaches were help you develop as a person, care about you as a person. And some of the coaches, they just call the play. It's just strictly business, But Coach Spurrier, he was more of just a literally a walking offensive genius. He the defense, just stop them now and then. I'm going to destroy my offense, so that's going to be our defense. So that's the way he coached the game. Special.
Well, you play 7 seasons in the NFL. You get the ROY, as you mentioned, Rookie of the Year in '94. 1,000 yards a couple of times. You total over 4,100 yards, 29 touchdowns. What are your favorite memories of playing in the league? I know you said it was a different game. It was a business. What are your favorite memories? And were there any teammates that you kind of stuck with you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I look at it as though, like, when they say teammates stick, I believe I was everybody's favorite player on every single team. So that's what I am. I'm every coach's dream player because I'm going to work hard. You don't have to worry about me having an attitude problem, nothing. I'm going to make everybody around me great. But like, when I say, what team might, that stands out the most, man, I have to say Tampa because, like, man, I've been broke my whole life until I got to Tampa. And, man, finally to have a little money. Guys, do you have any idea what that's like? Could you? Man, it's amazing just to have decent money to go. And I remember buying my first car and literally having air conditioning in my car. That's amazing. Now, I tell you this right here. My first game playing in as a professional football player was actually my first game ever going to. I had never been to a pro game.
Oh, wow.
So I remember we played against the Miami Dolphins. This was in preseason. I went out there to warm up, and right next to me was Dan Marino.
Wow.
Guys, this was he was coming upon his 12th year in the league. This was my idol. I'm talking about, man, I really love this guy right here. So Dan Marino walks out, and man, like I froze. I literally froze. I ran back to the locker room, and I remember telling a couple of the guys, like, hey, man, Hardy Nicholson and all that. I say, man, you ain't going to believe what I just saw. You are not going to believe what I just saw. And they looking like, what? Who you, the president? Who you just saw? I say, man, I just saw Dan Marino. They're like, what you mean? He's a pro. You in the pros now. You gonna see a lot of guys like that. Did you tell him that I'm gonna sack his ass 5 times a day? I looked at this dude and I damn near started a fight. I said, you ain't gonna do shit to Dan Marino. You ain't. I forgot that I'm a player and I'm on the opposite team. I was so fascinated with the guys of playing against Deion Sanders, somebody who I saw growing up. Just amazing talent in Florida State to actually play against him. And I didn't know that was really real when he gets the interception, how he high step. I mean, that's like trying to chase a cat. I'm talking about this guy. I was running after him full speed and he was jogging the whole way. And it's just amazing to play against your idols, man. That's amazing. You're playing against guys that you grew up watching on television. And and they embrace you when they see you. And it's so amazing when they know about your career, when they know about your stats, they know about you, and they might say something to you in the game, and you be like, man, this guy actually knows who I am. This guy knows about me. And that's an amazing feeling, Welcome to the NFL.
Well, you played with a lot of great characters of the day: Hardy Nickerson, Siragusa, Ray Lewis, Warren Sapp,
John Lynch.
Yeah,
man. I played against just being in the locker room with Warren Sapp. I remember we used to tape him up every day to the goalpost. I mean, just like we would keep his whole body damn near naked all the way to the goalpost. We'll leave by that much room for him to breathe out through the tape. I mean, we really hazed him hard coming into the NFL,
Oh, wow.
Playing with guys like Derek Brooks and, Mike Allstott, John Lynch, man, just an amazing talent. Trent Dilfer, a lot of those guys, man. It was a lot of fun, it's a lot. And I wish that everybody can make it to the highest level, because man, it's sweet up there. It's nice. It is a great feeling to finally accomplish your goals and accomplish that mission that I had just been after for so long.
So what was the feeling like when you're with your mom alone and you're a professional football player making professional football player money? You got her the house and it's just you two for the first time. Do you look at her and say, "I told you"?
Yeah, she probably said, it didn't take 4 years. It took 5 years. You got red shirt. What took you so long?
2003, you're inducted to the Florida Georgia Hall of Fame, but in 2005, you get the call for the UF Athletics Hall of Fame. How did you find out? Who called you, and what's it mean to you today to be enshrined there?
Man, it means everything, man. It meant that, your teammates, your colleagues, everybody, they recognize what you did for the university and, how you represented yourself, how you represented your family, the players, the coaches. And I carried myself like a class act guy, whether I'm on the football field, off the football field, I gave it my all. And it feels good to be recognized for something like that. Man, everything I had, I left on that football field. I mean, I gave them every single thing that I could possibly do. I left it all on the field. And it just feels, man, it's amazing, man. Many years later, you really look at some of the things that you accomplished, just with that little pigskin football, how that little pigskin has literally taken me all around the world. Playing all because I stood this little football field, got my mother out of the living condition, gave my family a beautiful home, and just like it's something that I do not take for granted. That pigskin football. And I'm always telling kids every day, do not take this football for granted. This football will take you places that you could never ever imagine, and that's truly what it did for me.
I do have to ask this question. Those that are listening can't see it, but behind you, there's an Errict versus Georgia picture. Does the 93 game against Georgia ever come up in conversation? That was the big rain game, right?
Yes, that's the rain game right there. That game right there, I was a young kid, and it's like, from that day that happened, I don't even know. I don't even believe it's been a week that hasn't went by that someone just tell me, "Hey, I was at the game, that Mud Bowl versus Georgia. Oh man, I still got chill bumps from that game. Man, I was at that game, and it came out to be one of my best games ever. Mm-hmm. We was in the zone, and I tell you, people always ask me, "How did you get the ball? You carried the ball 40 times in the mud." And I tell them, I said, "Man, I was in that Rhett Zone." And when you in that zone,
the Rhett Zone,
I like that.
Yeah. Oh man, I was in that zone. And when you in there, once in a lifetime, you might get in that zone where nothing else can stop. You're just literally unstoppable. It's a couple of games I've been like that. Playing against Alabama in 1991 and the Georgia game 93, it's nothing that they can do. And in spring sport, you only got 3 or 4 running plays. You can see the play he's going to run, but he's calling Pt.2, Panther 3, and it's like, it's just a simple draw play, but you're still not going to stop it. You still can't stop it. So it's like, he has nothing to hide. You can see the play, but that doesn't mean you're going to stop it.
Well, John mentioned the Hall of Fames, the Florida Georgia Hall of Fame, the UF Hall of Fame. You were on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot in 2022. How do we get you in? How do we get over the hump here?
Man,
how are you not in there yet? What's up with that?
Man, I don't know what happened with that. I guess it would be, it's great to know that you definitely deserve to be in there instead of being in there in your heart, you know that you don't deserve to be in there. We had a young man that come and speak to the Ravens one day. He was a running back for the Baltimore Colts back in the days. And he got voted into the Hall of Fame. And I remember he came and spoke to him. We thought it was going to be pretty positive. I think his name is Lenny something. I forgot his last name. But he spoke to us and he said, "Guys, you know what? Don't be like me. I really don't think me personally don't think I deserve to be in the Hall of Fame."
That's Lenny Moore you're talking about. I remember him. He always wore the cowboy hat when it showed up at the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Lenny Moore said, "You know what, man? The reason why I say that, I'm in the Hall of Fame, but guys, I didn't practice hard. I didn't work hard. I only wish, what bothers me right now, my career's over. What if I would have worked harder, what I could have accomplished?" if I would have worked a little harder, I did not work hard at all. I was blessed with a gift. I did it, and it was amazing. But me and my heart know that I didn't give it my all. And I can say to myself, man, I left it all on the field.
Sure.
I gave it my all. So where I come from right now, I'm so proud of some of the accomplishment that I did. But like, it wouldn't be possible for me without my team. And it was just a great team.
Well, if they're listening, the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia, Errict Rhett, the first player in college football history with over 4,100 rushing yards and 150 receptions. I think that's
put him in.
That sounds like a Hall of Famer to me.
Right there.
Yeah, unanimous.
Get him in.
Well, let's see what happens though. See, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. That would be very nice.
Now that you've hung up the shoulder pads, you ever think about getting back into the game? Clearly, you have a lot of passion for it. You think about coaching. You reach out to your old friend John Lynch, see if there's a job for you in San Francisco or something like that.
Man, I always thought about coaching, but I've dedicated almost 30 years to my life to the game of football. I mean, I dedicated my complete life. It feels good to go out and literally be entertained, and I enjoy spending time with my family. And I remember when I got a few phone calls back in the days that was I interested in coaching to do the mentorship, but I realized the hours that they put in. Now, if you're coaching with Coach Spurrier, those are some great hours. Steve Spurrier, Coach Spurrier, get there at maybe 9 o'clock. He's out of there at 4:35. These coaches, those are not normal hours right there. Some of these coaches come in at 6 a.m. and they don't leave 11 to 12 o'clock at night. So like, you literally do not have a life. And my motto is, God, family, and then football. And a lot of times now it's football. Family. God. It just, they don't see their families. And I really wanted to watch my kids grow up. And it feel good to say, man, I raised these kids. I didn't just have a name and was gone. I took them every day to practice.
Yep.
And that's the best. So I made the sacrifice for that right there. And it's easy to, when you see these lucrative contracts, sometimes it make you feel like you've missed nothing. But like what I did with my family, man, I would never look back on and say, hey, I would, substitute that, right? If I could look back, would I do this differently? No, I wouldn't change a thing, man, because it was truly fascinating raising, my kids.
That's priceless.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that. Yeah.
Hey, that's a perfect way to end it. We usually end the show in a bit, Errict. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. You're going to do a Mount Rushmore of Florida Gator running backs. Who do you feel are the 4 that deserve to be etched on the Mount Rushmore of Florida Gator running backs? Who you got?
Man, the 4.
First of all, before you go, the all-time leading rushing king is absolutely there. We're basically asking you who's hanging there with you, okay?
The 4 is easy. You got Errict Rhett, you got Emmitt Smith, you got Neil Anderson, you got Fred Taylor.
That's the quickest one we've ever had.
Yeah,
that's
tough
it.
To argue with that.
Yeah.
You went right through the hole.
It's easy.
And if Percy Harvey was a running back, he would probably be the one.
Very true.
If he's practicing.
Errict, man, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on our show.
Yes.
Big fans, your days at Florida, your days in the pros. So thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your stories with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, man. Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. And definitely go Gators.
And before you leave, you want to say a word about your foundation?
Oh, yeah. Well, back in 2001, I started the foundation, benefit low-income families and, help inner-city kids go off to college and help them remain at college, because we have so many young men and women that go off to college and they don't have the daily necessity funds to even go out, buy a pair of shoes, or you in Michigan, you don't have a jacket. So the Errict Rhett Foundation, we give back to, single mothers with housing, and we help kids that, they have interest of going off to college, and we help raise money where it's never an issue with them wondering where they're going to eat at, where they're going to sleep at, where they're not going to come home for Christmas never to return. So I want them to have the same college experience that I had coming up. So that's why the Errict Rhett Foundation, man, we give back in a multiple ways. So they just really, we love our students though.
How can our listeners find more information on your foundation?
Oh, definitely. You can, you go to, Eric, you can always email me, Errict at gmail.com. And hey, man, we do so much and we're all around, especially down here in South Florida. We build quite a few homes for single mothers. And, you can always just look us up.
That's awesome.
ErricRettFoundation.com.
Hall of Famer on the field and off. Listen to that. That's amazing.
King, all-time rushing king right here on the All for the Gators podcast. Thank you, Eric. Let's do that again. Let's get a good Go Gators.
Go Gators!
Yes.
There it is.
I don't know about you, but I've never spoken to a king before. That's my first interaction with true royalty. That's our rushing king, folks. Friends of the show, did you enjoy that one? Because I sure did. That's one of my favorites. I say that a lot, but this time, wow.
That was great.
I mean, we had Will White on, right? The defensive back, 3-time All-American from his era. Said Eric was his buddy. He was going to hook us up. We had to wait a little bit, but it happened.
Yes.
It happened.
Shout out to friend of the show. Thank you, Will. Awesome. And thank you again, Your Majesty, Rushing King.
Did not disappoint.
Oh, that was awesome.
All right, let's go right into our 2 bits.
All right,
I'm ready to run through a wall, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
All right, Andy, start it off.
Well, where do I start? I mean, I guess the crazy story, which I didn't know. I don't know if you guys knew the story about him at practice, running to the end zone every time he touched the ball in practice. That's insane.
No.
But no, I mean, I think you think of some of the one-liners he had. What's your reason? Like, what's the reason for what you're doing? He kept saying, what's your compelling why? What's pushing you? I mean, you can just tell. There's no wonder he was great. No wonder he was great. I mean, one of the most driven guys I've ever talked to. That's for damn sure.
Sure.
And the second part is kind of his perspective on his day versus today. It's kind of spot on. It kind of says a lot about the differences in the game. So.
Yeah.
But just his motivation, and you could tell why he became great. I mean, he just was. That motivation still exists. You can feel and hear the passion in his voice, and it still burns inside him. And certainly know why he was the king, as Sid would say.
Man, I know it's not happening, but it'd be awesome if he was up there coaching the Gators in some capacity with that passion, right?
Yep.
Passing it along, infecting the team with that passion.
He's got fire.
All right, Sid, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to use my 2 bits to say, are the people in Atlanta blind? How is this guy not in the Hall of Fame? The John's intro was always impressive, but it was not hard to draw upon. The numbers that you laid out there, the first person, a true dual threat, to have so many rushing yards, so many receptions, the durability to do that, the success of the team, and the fact that he came into the program in probation and where it ended when he left, his impact on the program. How is he not in the Hall of Fame? He's in the UF Hall of Fame rightfully, but he needs to be in Atlanta. So if any friends of the show out there have any influences there with the College Football Hall of Fame voters, man, this needs to be done pronto, long overdue. So my 2 bits is, I want my friend Errict Rhett to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, we should have ended with that, man. And we usually leave you for last, Sid.
You blew it, producer. You know I had a good one that's sitting on this.
Maybe when I edit it, I'll just swap it.
That's it. Just a little switcheroo. Left foot on blue, doing a little twister.
You guys took all the big ones. I could talk about the story about his mom, and his compelling why. But that's not really a 2-bit. The 2-bit's something besides the major points you guys made. Something we didn't really know about, and a story we didn't really know about, or at least I didn't, that his nickname was Crack.
I like that.
Shane Matthews called him Crack for 4 years because he was cracking something, cracking your helmet, cracking pads, cracking somebody in the locker room, in practice.
Right.
So, Errict Rhett, the all-time rushing king for the University of Florida, decrowning Emmitt Smith back in 1993.
Wow. And thank you again to our new friends.
Show made possible by Pontoon Brewing, their tap room in Sandy Springs, Georgia, if you're in the Georgia area. And drink their beers, man. They got a new wave, which I was drinking here during the show. It's very, very smooth, I will say. Andy likes his wheat beers. They have the crushing waves. They have a pale ale. They have that juicy double IPA that Sid's excited about for some reason. Check them out. Pontoon Brewing, the new partner of the All for the Gators podcast at pontoonbrewing.com. Guys, feeling good about this. Doing good things. Good things.
Great show. Oh, boy. Our next guest better bring it because this is going to be a tough one to follow.
Oh, we got a good lineup coming.
All right.
As always,
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.